Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivney.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of superhero television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about the director that we are now officially experts in.
I have a degree in Zack Snyder.
Oh.
That I did not want.
No, yeah, we've seen everything.
Some degrees are earned,
Yes.
and some degrees are thrust upon you. And I have had a Zack Snyder degree thrust upon my shoulders like an Atlas Shrugged weight. I didn't read Atlas Shrugged. Is that what it's about?
I don't even know. Like an Atlas weight. The weight of the
Maybe
world
not even the shrug,
of
just
Snyder.
Atlas.
The
Yes.
weight of the world of Snyder is upon you. Yeah.
For I have seen Army of the Dead now.
Yeah, you've
And I've
answered
seen-
the call.
We've seen all of it.
We've seen all of it.
We've seen
We
everything.
are aficionados. From Sucker Punch to Legends of the Guardians, The Owls of Ga'Hoole to Army of the Dead.
To Dawn of the Dead, where it all started. We've been back to front Snyder verse.
Literally, we would have to start looking up his the TV commercials and music videos he directed to figure out more about who Zack Snyder is as
his head.
As a director, to really get in there. And that's how deep we've gone.
Guys, we're going to get into Zack Snyder
We're
today.
going to get into Zack Snyder today. We're talking about Army of the Dead, the new Netflix original movie, Army of the Dead, today. And because it is a new property, whenever we discuss a new property, we give you a spoiler-free review. So today we are going to give you a spoiler-free review right now off the top of the show. Then once you hear the theme music, that's when we're going to get into the spoiler-filled section. So if you haven't seen it, if you're on the fence about watching it, or if you just want a little taste of the episode, you can hang around now. No spoilers. After you hear that theme song, spoiler city, population, Las Vegas. That's what
And you, if you're in Las Vegas, I guess.
And you, if you're in...
You and Las Vegas.
You and Las Vegas is spoiler city after the theme song. But for now, just a quick spoiler-free review. The simple question of, Diana, did you like it?
I did like it. I'll give it a like. It is a mess, but it's a fun mess. It's too long. And everything wrong with it is so easily cuttable. If Zack Snyder had an editor, I would love Zack Snyder's movies. Not all of them, but some of them I would greatly enjoy. I think the best way to sum up what my issues with this movie is, the synopsis of this movie is Las Vegas has been taken over by zombies, and it's a heist to rob a casino in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. And when that's what the movie is, the movie's great. When it's sticking to that premise, it's a great goddamn movie. Montages of getting the team, going to open a vault, stuff like that. Really fun. And the 5 or 6 storylines that veer off of that all suck. So it's got its ups and downs. When it's just vault heisting in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, it's a great freaking movie. And everything else is cuttable. So yeah, I had a lot of fun at times. Other times were very frustrating. So I'll give it a like. I think it's probably worth watching. It's fun enough. It's too long, but what are you going to do? It's Zack Snyder. Andrew, did you like it?
I'm a high like. I really like, borderline love this movie.
Oh, shit.
I think this is unquestionably, in my opinion, this is unquestionably the best film Zack Snyder's ever made.
Holy crap.
I think nothing Zack Snyder has made is even comparable to this. This is the best in every regard of filmmaking. And I think it's wildly impressive, too. It falls below a love. I agree with you that... I disagree with you on the length of the movie. I actually feel like, unlike most of Snyder's movies, the time moved by pretty breezy. And when he did... let things linger a little bit too long, which is kind of a Snyder technique. It actually added ambiance and tone, and I was kind of into the music video aspects of this, which I am not traditionally into in a Snyder movie. I do agree there's one storyline that could have been edited from a story perspective, but normally what he needs is functional editing room editing. Most other Snyder movies is someone in the editing room needed to be chop, chop, that scene's not needed. This one doesn't need to be slow motion, speed it up. Chop this scene out. But this was one where it was someone needed to do maybe a second pass to edit out one bad storyline. But other than that, considering this is only the second movie Zack Snyder has written, which is the other thing that's bananas about this, is that he only wrote Sucker Punch and this.
Oh man, crazy jump for writing skills then, because Sucker Punch is a mess end to end. And this I only have minor problems with.
Absolutely. Like this is 90% of a very well written movie. And Sucker Punch is someone's first movie ever if that person had like lived in a cave and never seen a movie before. The skill leap here is bananas. I think it is wildly impressive in a lot of regards. And it's fun and unpretentious. It's fun and unpretentious without being bleak and dreary like Snyder's usual stuff. It is so different. It is such a leap up in skill, and it's fun.
It is fun. I will say, I hardly would not ever peg this as a Snyder movie while watching it.
Yeah.
I think there's like one music montage that I actually really liked and was really fun. That like I was like, oh, montage Snyder. That feels like him. And the rest of the movie, you're kind of just like, oh no, I'm watching a well-lit, fun, pretty action-packed movie with, I think, a few more problems than I think you think there is. But for the most part, it was shockingly fun.
I would think, gun to my head, like if you put me in a vacuum, I didn't know this movie was coming out, I didn't know it was directed by Zack Snyder, and you deleted his name from the million times it comes up in the opening credits. Gun to my head, I would tell you this is a James Gunn movie.
Ooh.
Which is bananas that Zack Snyder directed the Dawn of the Dead remake, a James Gunn movie. And this is more James Gunn than when he directed a James Gunn movie. Because, like, James Gunn also has that obsession with music as well. So even, like, the music video kind of cues of it all, it may be a little on the nose, but it's not James Gunny as well. And it's more charming and charismatic and more character-driven with,
and the
like...
gore is more fun gore?
Yeah. Gun to my head, I would have told you this was a James Gunn.
Like,
gun to my head?
2 ends.
With 2 ends.
Yeah, more like well lit. It's got Dave Bautista, who James Gunn likes.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder inspired by James Gunn. I don't even know how to describe this, but yeah, your energy is infecting me, and I'm having trouble thinking of the things I didn't like anymore. But I'll consult my notes a little bit later. But I'm loving how much you're liking this movie.
I think no matter what, and there will be some things I dunk on for this movie. Then there's going to be one storyline we both agree on, a couple of goofs that I want to dunk on, but. Zack Snyder is like most improved player, MIP. Like no one has from Sucker Punch to this, no one has taken a quality leap in their ability to write like Zack Snyder. And also, this is Zack Snyder's first movie as the director of photography, and not working with Larry Fong. And I think he's worked with a few other DOPs, but he's the one doing the shots as well.
He is everything of this movie. This is the most Zack Snyder you're ever gonna get, like the truest Zack.
A one-man band, and for a first-time director of photography, like actually controlling the shots, doing the storyboard, beating it out, figuring out the angles, getting everything looking right, manning the camera as well. He also worked as the camera operator for some of the shots, writing, directing. For a first-time DOP and a second-time writer, it legitimately floors me, the quality that he has brought to this.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're only on slightly different wavelengths on this one. That's fun.
Yeah.
I guess the dunks will be lighter than usual.
Yeah, the dunks will be, but there'll still be some good dunks.
There's still going to be
some good dunks.
Lots of praise as well.
In a classic Snyder fashion, and I feel like we did this with the Snyder Cut. When it works, and when he misses, it whiffs so hard.
All air balls.
Oh, just a hard whiff.
It's a swish or an air ball with Zack Snyder. It's going to be fun.
And so I think then we're both like a like to high like. It seems like it's a relative recommend, you would say?
Oh, yeah. I think you need, not need to see it, but like if you like zombie movies at all, bring this on. It's a fun zombie movie that I think could be about 25 minutes shorter.
Fair enough. And can it be spoiled?
As much as zombie movies can. Who lives, who dies, who tells your story, kind of deal.
I think a little more than the average zombie movie, because I think there are at least 3 twists in this, and it ended in a place that I did not expect it to.
I don't know if any of those things are true for me. But
Really?
All right. I think the twists were things I've seen in many movies, so...
I don't think it's necessarily like
a Shyamalan you've never seen before twist.
Not never done before, but not the ending or twist that you would expect within the first 20 minutes of the film.
Okay.
You know what I mean? No?
No.
You expected that ending.
Yeah. Zack Snyder.
All right, well, interesting. I disagree. And I think that the ending and how the person/peoples involved got there could not have been predicted in any way from the beginning.
All right. Well, interesting. We'll discuss in the spoiler
So I think it can be spoiled. Well, that's our spoiler-free review for Army of the Dead. We'll get into a spoiler-filled section in a moment, but before we do, we want to tell you about another wonderful podcast called Orphan Black: The Next Chapter.
Oh man, you Orphan Black heads are going to be so excited about Orphan Black: The
Clone
Next
Clubs.
The Clone Clubs, of course.
It's been too long, right?
It's been like 8 years. I know the Clone Club.
A wave of excitement I forgot about came over me when I heard that Orphan Black: The Next Chapter exists. I'm like, oh wow, this is amazing. So a lot of you remember the show. You remember Orphan Black. I'm sure our listeners remember Orphan Black.
You remember the show starring Tatiana Maslany. Well, guess what? She's back. They're back. Realm presents the official continuation of the TV series Orphan Black. So this is officially the continuation, and it is starring Emmy Award actress Tatiana Maslany as the clones. She's back. They're back.
She's back, baby. She is voicing the
They're
clones.
all back.
It is exciting, which is perfect because she has done such a phenomenal job over the years, and it would be almost impossible to imagine this without her. She is so inherently this show, and Orphan Black is a show where everyone fell in love with Tatiana Maslany and was just like, you are incredible, an incredible performer.
It's exciting to see her come back to these characters.
Yeah, and it's been, in the story, it's been 8 years since Project LEDA was destroyed for good, but not all is well when a dangerous genetic technology is stolen and an unknown clone appears. Cosima and the other clones are forced to struggle for survival.
Yes, and everything will change when Viva Valdez, a CIA agent, discovers she too is a clone. Extra clones.
Extra clones.
Not just all the OG clones.
Yeah. So you are getting OG clones. Don't you worry about that. And I know we all have our favorites when it comes to the OG clones, and you're getting that back. I liked Allison. She was complicated. She came in hot, and I was like, don't really care for you, Allison. And then I was like, you got me.
She grew on you.
She grew. Yeah. Allison was a complicated one, but phenomenal performances, top to bottom, and it's so exciting that this is an official continuation of the story.
It's so exciting. Read by Tatiana Maslany, and there are Easter eggs of other characters if you stick around. We won't spoil who it is.
Oh, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what's up, do you? Maybe you have to listen. And it came out this April. It came out April 1st, 2021. It has weekly episodes available every Friday. You've got to listen to it. Listen to Orphan Black: The Next Chapter. It's available wherever you get your podcasts now. So wherever you're listening to this probably is a good place.
They're probably available right next to us.
You could probably just start here and go into the search menu and search Orphan Black: The Next Chapter. Check it out.
Check it out, Clone Club.
And now let's get into the episode. Let's talk about Army of the Dead. All right, well, let's see how contagious my enthusiasm is. I could feel you, vibrating with my energy in the opening segment alone.
I was surprised how, much higher of a you are than me, and I'm very excited about it. I love a good, energized, positive Andrew.
All right. Well, that's fun.
And I'm sure Zack Snyder is listening and also excited. He's like, oh, the Zack Snyder experts are here.
Yeah, Zack's like...
What will they say about me this week?
Zack's like, I finally got him. I won. I did it.
We were quite positive about Justice League.
Yeah. We were quite positive. Other than about the length of time, we were quite positive about it. We've been relatively kind.
It's been kind of growing.
Yeah, it has been growing with time. And I think that this is the peak. This is the pinnacle for me.
This is everything Snyder at his best, but it's also a lot of rehashes of things he's done. I mean, mostly in Dawn of the Dead, which he didn't write, but it feels like he took a lot of those ideas and kind of just took them a little bit further. But yeah, it's nice to see just this brightly lit, well-colored, fun action adventure that I'm like, my problems with this movie are it's too long and a couple goofs. And I'm like, wow, nothing problematically problematic, which has been a few movies now since he's done that.
Yeah,
since like Sucker Punch days, since I've had some issues.
Absolutely. We could say like some soft problematic off the top with the, so like it opens with military people are transporting a thing out of Area 51, and then a newlywed couple are leaving Vegas, and the driver, the guy, is getting a blowjob from his new wife, and that just doesn't really need to be the inciting incident. It's a little juvenile, but like again, soft, not a big deal.
It's very soft. It's very non-graphic. It's like a good reason to have a car accident, I suppose. It does lead into my first criticism, which will be very light and very, just to call back to Dawn of the Dead, is that then almost immediately the next scene also has just the only boobs in the whole movie. And like, you're still not integrating those titties, Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
They're still just kind of boobs in a movie that isn't a boob movie.
Yeah, because it cuts to like, it's this montage of zombies are now taking over Las Vegas, which is a relatively fun montage for 99% of it.
It's super fun.
And then they just have a quick like, hey, Vegas showgirls. And you know how they don't wear tops. And it's not at a strip club. It's just like in a casino hallway.
Yeah.
And that's not actually what goes on in a casino hallway.
And there's 3 of them. And then it cuts to different showgirls like on the floor and they have shirts on. I'm like, what happened to their shirts?
Yeah, they have tops, but they're wearing the same bottoms and like the feathers and the headdresses and everything. So it's clearly like they're all part of the same production, which is not a topless strip club show. It's not a seedy Vegas show. It is a like on the strip, like there are children around type of show.
Which I don't even have a problem with that because it's Vegas. Like there is topless women everywhere. But it's the fact that you open with Roadhead, you almost immediately cut to like boobies on zombies.
Yeah.
And then it's never naked or sexual again for 2.5 hours. I'm like, why do we come in so hot?
It comes in hot and then it gets cool. It's like, actually, no,
Sorry,
like the movie itself is
that.
just like, I'm so sorry. I was really excited about titties for a minute. I got too. That's my bad.
And I got it out of my system and then I was good. Do you think he just needs one?
Just needs one.
He just needs one hit of titties every movie? And then he's like, I'm good now. I'm good.
So that happens off the top, but I'm like, that's soft. Like it's a few seconds of unnecessary boobs and maybe some like slightly gross sexualization, but consensual, fine, Roadhead does happen,
from
whatever.
From a newlywed couple, I'm like, it's kind of, in a way,
whatever.
It's cute.
Yeah, a little bit.
In a little bit. It's cute.
So I don't mind it that much. And this opening sequence of the military transporting something out of Area 51, it's fun.
It's really fun. This is one of those sequences that it does kind of feel too long, but in a very structured, like Tarantino-esque way. Like having the guys just talking in the cab for a really long time about what this thing is that they're transporting, cutting to the car coming towards them, like they're getting like pictures of their honeymoon. Like it doesn't need to be this long for a setup of there's a zombie in this truck, but it's really entertaining and it really works actually. I actually quite enjoyed it.
I think part of the reason why that scene is so entertaining, and I agree with you, it's a long scene. Does it need to be that long? No. Does it work at that length? Yes. And I think that for the most part, this movie, you could edit it down, but I'm fine with the length that it is. And where he's really stepped up as a screenwriter is his dialogue is punchy and charming. Zack has never known how to do fun, punchy dialogue before, ever, in any circumstance of any movie that he's ever made. It's never been quippy. It has never been fun. It has never been charming. This honestly feels ghost-written by someone else who knows how to do character stuff. It is really cute and fun and peppy. Like these 2 army guys in the car being like, you know what we're transporting, the Holy Grail, right? And just them goofing and riffing. It's so playful and vibrant, and I'm having a great time right away.
It is really good, and it's surprising that, like, not that I don't think these guys are funny, but they're not comedic actors I know. Like, the other highlight of comedy in this movie is Tig Notaro.
Right.
And she's wonderful, but she's a comedic actress. Yeah. She's always crushing it. But these 2 guys off the top, I'm like, I don't even really know who you are. One of you I recognize from Resident Alien as the doctor. So so you do comedy quite a bit, but a lot of it is just the writing. he really did crush this interaction between these two guys in the car, being like, well, you know what it probably is. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you're not going to make me say it, are you? But like, and that
please don't make me say it.
And that sounds not great, but like the delivery and the buildup of it was wonderful. Yeah, this opening sequence is very fun and very interesting. I also really love, just from his, like, because he's DPing, I guess, the shot from within the box after it crashes, and it's got like the big lines across it because that's how the door is shaped.
I don't really recall this shot.
It was a really cool shot because it letterboxed the scene. Because it's through the door.
Oh, the frame within a frame kind of a look. Yeah.
It was really neat. I was like, you're neat.
And even
You're neat, Zach.
just like the colors and vibrancy of like it happening at sundown in that scene, like it was gorgeous. It was fun. It was charming. It was also gorgeous. But yeah, obviously Tig is very comedically talented. But yeah, this quippy dialogue with the army guys in the van off the top, and it just looks gorgeous. And then the frame within the frame from inside, and a great reveal of releasing the zombie virus as well. It's an explanation without an explanation.
Yeah, it's like, we're not going to tell you what it is or who made it, but clearly this is the first zombie. You guys are smart. You're figuring it out. He's infecting other people. Now we got more zombies.
Yeah.
We're along for the ride here.
It very much feels like the zombie equivalent of when like a time travel movie is like, it kind of works, but don't worry about it. Like, we're going to explain it a little, but let's not pick this apart. Let's not try to come up with like where this creature came from. Just be cool. It feels like the Bill and Ted of zombie movies, where it's just like, there's time travel, or like there's
what if
whatever.
we leave the keys here later?
Yeah.
We can come back and get them.
Be like, that works, I guess, sure.
But also there is going to be explanations, because there's like 2 more things being made about this. There's like a prequel, an anime series. Like, Zack Snyder made a whole franchise in one time.
And I don't want to get too far like ahead of where this movie is. I hope those don't get too far up their own ass. Because I think one of the things that works about this movie is how playfully fuck it, don't worry it is. And it doesn't give a shit about lore, and it shouldn't. Any lore would be moronic, but they have fun with that.
I think it cares about lore. I think it has too much, honestly, at times.
I think it's too much, but in a comedic sense where it's kind of winking and nudging itself. So I think the movie is meant to be this dialogue that these 2 army guys have in the car, where it's like, is it the Holy Grail? It's aliens. No, it's some kind of a secret government technology. It's a weapon. Like this, like, it's everything. It's whatever you want to be. Who cares? And then there is these weird seeds that Snyder has put in this movie, which I think is the most playful thing that Snyder has ever done, which is the fact that there are alien spaceships in this movie.
Where?
In the opening scene when they're leaving Area 51, there's 2 spaceships in the background watching them that fly away.
What? How did you not point that out to me?
So there are...
You just let me live my life?
I let you live not knowing that.
There were spaceships in that scene?
So there are alien spaceships in this movie.
Of course, okay.
There are robots...
There are robots
that get zombified, but seem to be like they were living among us. So this like weird mythos that like a robot, some kind of a Terminator type robot have infiltrated our society, but also succumbed to the zombie virus and are zombies.
That's not what I thought they were at all. I thought they were robots made to look like zombies, to sneak into the zombie packs.
Oh.
I didn't think they were humans who got zombified, but that's cool too.
I thought they were like robot-human combinations that got zombified.
Like a weird way to take out a Terminator. Mm-hmm. You bite them and turn them into a werewolf or something.
Yeah, like the flesh still fucks it up somehow or whatever. But it could easily be either, but there are aliens, there are robots, there is a time loop, time travel implication, which seems to be actually like
genuinely happening? Yes.
So it's enough things going on that I actually feel like Snyder's like, fuck you, fuck it, who cares, it's whatever, have fun. And it actually feels the most playful he's been in a long time.
It is playful and fun. I think my complaint would be that some of it feels like setup that never gets paid off. That he's just like, I'm going to throw everything I've ever wanted to see in, and then I'll do it in like the sequels or the prequels maybe. Like, for example, the zombies who were dried out, and she's like, when they get wet, they come alive, and then it never rained.
That did feel like a setup for a payoff that never happened.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to set up every kind of zombie you've ever seen. These ones are fast. These ones are slow. These ones hibernate. These ones are robots. These ones are dry. And these ones are wet. that one is pregnant. Like, it's just like every zombie you've ever wanted, it's here. And I'm like, that's fun, but like pay them all. You have to pay them all off. But it's for the most part, 80% fun. So very interesting. I do like running into different kinds of zombies. It felt kind of video game-esque. Like, you're like, okay, these are just shamblers. We can take care of these guys. But then the fast boys show up at the end. And I would say the most fun I probably had was just moving along chronologically. This opening montage.
Super fun.
Delightful.
Really, like, just getting the backstory of all of them in this quick little tidy up, because it gives us the backstory of the virus and of the survivors. And that's all you need.
And that's all you need. Told so fun in this, like, I don't know when they took their graduation day photos in front of that little piece of curtain, but
I weirdly liked that. I thought that was, again, playful. It was Snyder being like, this is what this scene represents. It is someone holding up who they are. Here is a montage of who they are and who they were and how they become who they are. And I'm like, this is you understand the thematic meaning of a musical montage, which is, again, something he's never portrayed, where it's always been visual interest, but with no deeper meaning. But this felt very much like, I understand the meaning and purpose of this, and it's placed in the film.
Yeah, this is who this person was pre-zombies. This is who they truly are. This is who they've become in the zombie apocalypse. I will show you all of this in 30 seconds of very entertaining zombie fighting. Oh, I didn't have a problem with the photograph part. I've just like, it kind of felt like maybe like after they got out and survived, they like did like a TV interview. And they were like, do you have a photo of you before the zombie apocalypse?
Look at this photograph. I did think of that several times.
Exactly. We all love the Nickelback influences. Yeah. Hey, he loves music videos.
Yeah.
He stole it. So he was like, you know who did it right? Nickelback.
For all we know, he could have directed that music video. So, after we're done recording, I'm going to look up who directed the Nickelback Photograph music video.
It better not have been Zack Snyder.
I would love it if it was.
It would be
But I'm with you. This was playful. But you liked that opening sequence.
I really liked that opening sequence. I'm not sure if we needed that lady who didn't pay off in any way, who dies with the daughter. Because that didn't end up being the wife.
I agree with you. That was sloppy.
Who was that?
I also got the implication that was the wife of Dave Bautista's character. And then later when we get a flashback to the actual wife of Dave Bautista's character, I didn't quite track what was happening. There was some visual language that implied that this was his wife.
Yeah, because it seemed like he killed his wife very early in the zombie apocalypse. They were in their own home, it looked like. So it seemed like she died very early. And then I guess he also met this woman and her child, and then they also died. But it's sloppy. It should have just been a third character we were going to meet.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even Cruz, like the lady we meet at the car shop later.
No.
Or was she in the opening?
She was there in the opening.
These two ladies got a little confused for me.
It got a little confusing, especially when, so it's like Dave Bautista's character holding up a photograph of like him with a wife and a kid.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, you have a wife and a kid. And then we get his later love interest character.
Cruz. Maria Cruz.
So he rescues her. It's kind of like she's the first person he rescues. But it's her shooting, and it's him driving like an ice cream truck behind her. But we've cut from like a photo of him and his wife to then immediately him and Cruz. So I'm like, oh, this is your wife. But then it cuts to like him and then that woman and her child who get killed, where I'm like, oh, that's your wife and kid. But neither of them were. A little sloppy.
Yeah. And they all kind of look the same. There wasn't a lot of differentiation there. Differentiation?
Yeah.
A lot of T's in that word. A lot of T's there.
Sure.
More than I'd like. So yeah, that was a little bit sloppy, but very
differentiation.
Differentiation. I'm getting the A wrong, I think.
I think so.
And then like just really playfully gory when they drop that final container case down and crush her and the zombies. Just like horrifying but fun. And the movie loses that sometimes. It does have it every now and then, but every now and then I feel like he loses this really playfully gory tone that I very much enjoy when he has. So yeah, I think the opening is like the top of the movie for me.
Really? Okay, interesting. I don't know what I would think the top of the movie would be. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it doesn't stand out to me as the top. It just stands out to me as like a fun part of the ride for me.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah, I do think the playful gore is there throughout the movie, but I like its pacing of like every once in a while. Like it's not trying to be a pure comedy. Like this isn't trying to be Zombieland. Like there are moments where this has like hints of Zombieland-esque, like we're very aware of how ridiculous it is, but it doesn't fully go there, and I actually appreciate that restraint.
That would be exhausting for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
For such a long movie. So I do like that it's there. May I guess your favorite? Maybe they do assemble a team.
Assembling a team is pretty fun. It's not a full assemble the team montage, but it is pretty fun.
Because some of these people they didn't know, which I didn't like. I didn't like how many strangers were joining this team. Because I like an assemble the team of like, oh, you old son of a bitch.
Yeah, you old road dog, you.
Of course I'm with you. Or like they punch each other. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, you actual son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Those are always really fun. So some people he knew already, obviously, but then a lot of nobodies joined this team.
Well, let's talk about the Tig of it all.
All right.
Because we brushed upon it a few moments ago. So for those of you who are blissfully unaware, I envy you. But originally the role of the engineer / helicopter pilot was to be played and was filmed and played by Chris D'Elia, piece of human garbage, who is a comedian who is not of note because he'll never be heard of again because he did crimes. You can look it up. We're not going to get into details.
Don't even give him the search. Take our word for it.
That's true. Piece of trash.
But
something I'm very aware of because it was in the news, and also he was a stand-up comedian, and stand-up comedians really talked about that story a lot. But he is garbage. They're like, get him out of the film.
And he was in the whole movie. They finished filming.
Mm-hmm. And they replace him. Snyder replaces Chris D'Elia with Tig Notaro. Fantastic casting decision. Tig is perfect for this role.
Even if he wasn't a piece of shit, this seems like an upgrade.
It should have been Tig to begin with,
Should
guaranteed.
have always been Tig.
Yeah, we love seeing Tig and everything. I think when they were in the Star Trek Discovery, also as an engineer as well.
So good though.
Tig was crushing it in that. But all of those scenes that were originally Chris, that was now Tig, had to be filmed on a green screen, and they were digitally placed in over what was previously Chris. Mm-hmm. I think they did a pretty seamless job. Like 98% of it is near flawless.
I mean, you never would tell on some scenes. I mean, I don't know if they redid this whole thing, but when they hire Tig and there's like a fence in the way, I'm like, if this was how this was originally filmed, what a gift, because you could just redo Tig's side entirely, and that's maybe the best scene that they have. But yeah, every other scene, like, only because I know and was looking to try to spot it, could you tell that there's maybe just like a little bit of shading around them, or the colors don't quite match, but it's seamless for the most part. Honestly, maybe they even bring too much attention to it. I feel like Tig gets like a lot of close-ups and extra lines just to be like, they're definitely there.
I think there are a few of those where they hang a hat on it a bit too much. But again, that seems fun and very
really
unpretentious to be like, let's draw attention to it a little bit.
I love everything involving Tig's character at all, and the insertion of Tig and how seamless it is. I would absolutely never know.
Yeah, I think that there were maybe 2 80-yard lines, which were mildly 80-yard, where Batista's character, Scott, and one of the other characters...
Cruz, the love interest again?
Cruz again. I think Scott and Cruz have a moment where the original line was like, he's a good pilot, and then it was like, he's a bit of an asshole. And they 80-yard it, and you could tell the mouth doesn't quite make the S sound, but it's like, she's a good pilot, she is a bit of an ass. Like, just that like quick little hit of replacing the audio.
I think there was one where they even cut away from Batista to not show his mouth.
There are a few...
Which I'm totally fine with.
And like, oh yeah, it's fun and playful. Like, there are a few moments of Tig delivering lines, and there's just like a soundboard of Batista generic words. So like, Tig's delivering lines, and it's just Batista, who gives... And purposefully so, but Batista is a very like calm and like controlled man. So his voice doesn't fluctuate a lot anyway as actor Dave Bautista, but it's Tig delivering lines, and you just hear like an off-screen Dave Bautista every now and then just going, yes, of course, uh-huh, Yes. So it's just these like soundboard responses.
You guys can't see Andrew hovering over the buttons on our soundboard as though he has installed.
I was pretending as though I had the buttons.
As though he has installed.
I should have installed the buttons.
Why didn't you think to install? I've told you for years. We need a Dave Bautista soundboard. We have the soundboard buttons. We just haven't installed the sounds. We've got the Mortal Kombat theme, and like that's top notch. But we could use more.
I will get to work on installing a Batista soundboard.
To-do list I give you. You just ignore it every week.
Now, one thing I do want to dunk on. So replacing Chris D'Elia, piece of human trash, with Tig is an upgrade in a million different ways. It's phenomenal. And also, you know, I don't want to give too much credit because it's also one of those social and societal things where it's like you did the bare minimum of work of removing someone who's a child predator from your film. Congratulations. We don't need to applaud too much.
It still costs millions of dollars.
Still costs, like, it's still a like, thank you for doing that, but that also should be par for the course. But then one thing in this movie I do want to dunk on that actually like infuriated me and made me livid to the point where I'm like, this should make all of us mad. Is when they're talking about blowing up Vegas on TV. They have like a Fox News parody. And the host of Fox News is played by Sean Spicer, the previous press secretary for Donald Trump. And absolutely no, fuck you to death, no, fuck off. Sean Spicer, who left his press secretary job and was like, isn't it cute that I lied about kids in cages? That's pretty cool, right? I'm on the Emmys now. I'm on Dancing with the Stars.
I'm driving a Segway.
No, you don't get to be the fun, cutesy, like, hey, remember the crimes I did as part of the Trump administration? Fuck off. Get out of movies. You should not. And even as a, like, wink nudge, he's the Fox News guy. He's still got a paycheck. He is a piece of human trash. He should not be in this movie. He should not be in any movie. He should not be allowed to be on television. This man is a terrible criminal of a man. Get him out of here.
I agree on all levels. His scene was pretty short, and I wasn't sure if that was him or a lookalike, and I was hoping it was a lookalike, and we were mocking him.
Right.
But if it is actually him, absolutely, should not be paying this man. I would not want to hang out with this man. I would not want him affiliated with my production in any way. That's not worth the quick hit of the joke in any way whatsoever. Maybe Zack Snyder is still bad at jokes.
Yeah.
Maybe he is not quite getting it. So yes, absolutely agree. Even if it's just a short, quick hit, why would you invite this man into your production? Absolute crimes. It was upsetting when he was at the Emmys. Like, why are any of us doing this? Why are we okay with it because he got fired? Like, he didn't apologize. He didn't like turn state's evidence and do a good thing. He's a piece of shit.
He never did a good thing.
He never did anything good. There's no redemption arc here.
He did a series of terrible things that he got paid for. Then he tried to get paid by being neutral about those terrible things. And not everyone, but many people were like, neutral's pretty good. Neutral's pretty good if you started neutral. You don't get to get paid to be evil and then be like, but I'm neutral now and that's cute. No.
Yes.
No. Or like, I make jokes about how I was evil. Then that means you're self-aware enough to know that what you did was wrong and you got paid to do it. That means that you have the human conscience and morale. Absolutely miserable. It made me incredibly miserable to see this piece of trash in this movie.
That is totally fair. Because some of the parodies of Fox and Trump were like subtle and good. And I was like, it's weird that you failed right here so bad because I'm not sure if this movie needed it, but comparing the quarantine camps to immigration camps is like, yeah, this is what people are going through. They're being bullied by the workers. Like they can't get out. They shouldn't be there this long. They're being held against their wills. Like, I'm like, okay, these are good moral messages, and then you've got Sean Spicer in here who put people in those places. Doesn't make any sense, Zach.
No.
That's
you gotta decide what you want to do. Yeah, you can't pay the people that you make fun of.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a weird one.
So that was a big one for me. That was one of as much as I really enjoyed that movie, that was one that like it took me a good 20 minutes, I would say, to like cool off. Like I was flush in the face mad about that happening.
Okay, maybe that's why you didn't enjoy Assemble the Team as much, because it was right after that.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah, I might have rage blacked out for a few minutes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
Shouldn't have been in there.
Shouldn't have been in there. Because the best part of Assemble the Team to me was, again, you shouldn't be this good at writing such a big jump. He does an incredible runner of offering everyone less money as
Really
they go
funny.
down, to the point where they get to like $20,000. They start at $15 million. And then they get to Shades from Luke Cage, and then he's like, $20,000? Absolutely. I'm like, no one is discussing how much they're getting. This is why you have to talk to your coworkers about how much you get paid, so that you can have a union alliance about payments. Because if he knew he was getting $20,000, he'd want more. If you knew the person above you was getting $15 million and you're getting 100,
I think 50.
no, unless they're planning to I couldn't tell if they were going to screw Tanaka over, or because they were only going to get 50 altogether to share amongst them, and Tanaka got the other 150 million was the.
Oh, okay. You might. Oh, okay.
Because he needs to get money, or why would he bother sending them?
All right. Fair
so
enough.
They were only going to get 50, but yeah. So yeah, just continually lowering it with every person they met. I'm like, this is such a good runner, and the fact that Shades is like 15 minutes later and they still do it again, fuck, runners.
I also like the guy they assemble for the team who just goes, "Wait, we're doing what?" No, and leaves.
Who is the only survivor of this film?
One of the questionably few survivors of this movie.
Yeah, I guess him and the daughter.
Him and the daughter, and if you consider turning into a zombie and infecting Mexico City survival.
I don't.
Yeah.
You're dead to me then.
Yeah.
This guy was smart. Yeah, and the fact that I really thought the guy in charge was just going to shoot him for leaving.
I thought so too.
Like, obviously, you're like, oh, the bad guy will now shoot you because it's a secret that we're doing this. But you're just like, oh, wow, these are some reasonable bad guys. You're just allowed to leave if you don't want to do it. So, yeah, Assemble the Team, phenomenal.
Yeah, I did really like that joke. I forgot about that during the Assemble the Team montage. It was a really funny runner. And again, just charming writing that I didn't expect from Zack Snyder.
Yeah, just really good builds of comedy. Incredible work.
The other thing, too, that Zack Snyder does in this movie, which I won't talk about too long, just because it's like the boring technical side, but I mentioned he's the director of photography for this one, so he did a lot more work on the visuals than he previously does. There was a poster in Vegas that was like the magician Larry Fong, and that's his that's the director of photography that did Batman v Superman and 300.
I did notice that prominently placed, and I didn't know if that was an actual Vegas hypnotist or whatever.
That was a shout out and thank you to learning from his previous director of photography, who he gives a lot of credit to.
I love this Easter egg.
Great
Dope
Easter egg. People like working with Zack. He's just a fun, nice guy.
Everyone has, even like just this week, like there was like this really interesting article they did where they let Zack answer questions from a bunch of people he's worked with previously.
Oh, cool.
So like Sarah Polley sent in a question from Dawn of the Dead, and I forget who else, but I'm just like, even after all these years, like Sarah Polley's like, yeah, he was great. And this is early first movie Zack.
Right.
Who like hadn't had time to grow yet. And even then she was like, no, he was fantastic. And she's very upfront and like and doesn't even act anymore. She mostly directs. So she like would have no reason to be like saying anything nice about him for no reason. It's what an interesting man.
What an interesting man.
Interesting man.
And through the style that he films this movie in, he uses a camera that's kind of called like a dream lens. He uses like dream lenses, which gives a dream-like quality to a lot of this movie. You'll notice like the really out of focus and fuzzy background and edges for characters.
Okay, I thought that was kind of deserty reasons. But.
I think I could see it being a deserty thing too. It's definitely that heat haze coming off the ground. But it's just a really shallow focus, which I think also helped insert Tig into a lot of the scenes as well, because typically there's different lenses, and not to get into the boring math, but your average person, you've got your cell phone camera, there's a portrait mode and a landscape mode. And portrait mode gives you that nice blurry background, and if landscape mode takes a photo of everything as far as the eye can see. So that's depth of field. That's like, do you want something just a specific distance to be in focus, or everything, every distance to be in focus? And these dream lenses that he uses is the shallowest depth of field imaginable. Like the way that when you take a good portrait, the person's in focus and the background is blurry because there's a difference of distance between them. this distance is so shallow, like the tip of someone's nose can be in focus, and then their eyes are not. Their eyes are starting to are blurry because the eye is too far away.
So he really gave himself a challenge on his first TP job.
Oh, really? Yeah, or his second AC would have a big challenge, but a challenge for sure. But it also adds that dreamlike, deserty effect to everything. And incidentally, accidentally, worked out to his advantage because that fog and haze allowed Tig to be inserted and doesn't have to be like as clean and sharp as if this were like a really clean and sharp lens that had everything in focus.
Yeah, you just film Tig, you use the blur tool in Photoshop, and you're like, perfect.
Basically, yeah. You just blur tool it and drop it in.
You got a Tig.
Yeah, but it was a smart look, other than the one dead pixel.
Oh, man. Thank God other people noticed this. I thought our TV had lost a pixel, and I was very worried. I'm like, oh, this TV's not that old. It's very big. It's very expensive. And then it's just like maybe a third of the scenes, there's a dead pixel in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, that seems really easy to fix.
Yeah, it does. It should be. In post-production, they should have fixed that.
To not notice or not fix that when you spent millions putting Tig in, and
Right.
you couldn't spend like 10 minutes being like, erase tool pixel,
Yeah.
or whatever you got to do. Black, because it's a bright white.
And for someone
Pixel.
like Snyder, who's like, you spent like 9 years obsessing over the edit of Justice League, like you're meticulously editing and rewatching, and you didn't notice this. But this was also, I believe, Snyder's first film that he was shot digitally, because he also is like an old school filmmaker who shoots things on traditional film.
Is he?
So he's using a new technology, and it's his first time being a director of photography on a film that he directs. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had just a dead pixel on the sensor or a piece of sand, because they're filming in the desert, got in and damaged the sensor. So I think he just damaged the equipment due to being in a new job and position using equipment that he's not particularly familiar with.
I'm really excited for Zack Snyder's next movie called Back to Film.
Back to film.
He's like, never again, dead pixel. You won't get me. I'm Zack Snyder. They're gonna release a new version.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I guarantee you, Zack will make them update.
I actually think by the end of the week, and that's the beauty and benefit of something like a Netflix, is that they will just update the file and no one will ever know. But I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of the week it's updated to have removed the weird dead pixel.
What if the pixel's on purpose and it's a hint?
Ooh.
There are aliens. There are robots.
Right.
There's information in the pixel.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You just gotta follow the clues.
Snowman baby.
Snowman baby.
He gave us all the clues.
He gave us all the clues.
Should we dunk on a storyline?
Do you want to get... I was just about to actually segue to the exact same thing, so let's dunk on it.
Excellent.
Let's do the dunk.
Oh my God. I hate to say this about female characters. Get this daughter out of here. Oh my God.
Oh, you're going full daughter.
What are you getting rid of?
Gita.
Well, she's connected.
Oh, okay. I think the daughter can stay if we get rid of the Gita storyline.
I mean, we need a reason for her to be there then, but...
I think just that she's his daughter, and she also escaped and survived with him and could easily be part of the crew.
All right, well, that's fine. But we gotta get rid of, like, how she is now.
Right.
Intolerable.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't care if she's there and she's a better character. You put better characters in any scene you want. But she's intolerable. Just, I'm going in with you. I'm definitely gonna die if you don't let me come. I'm just gonna die on my own. If you do let me come, I promise not to leave. Like, that's a lie. Why would she not leave you?
And also, you're visibly an adult. Like a young adult, but an adult. Like, I would say, like, your character is probably, like, 20-ish, maybe 20 to 25.
I was going to say like 23.
You're not a child.
You're not a little child.
But you behave as a naive child, even though you are, at this point, like a refugee survivor of the greatest horror modern society has ever known. And you're like, do you think a lonely mom could have survived out there? No, she couldn't have. Gita's dead.
You also work at like an internment camp where people are brutalized and like beat up. Like, why do you have so much hope in people? No.
Stupid, unjustified hope.
You've seen how unfair the world is, girl.
Yeah.
You've lived a pretty rough life. You shouldn't be like, I bet that single mom made it. Statistically, she didn't.
And for her to like, when she runs up to the to the coyote, to the person who smuggles people in and out of the zombie zone,
Lily.
Lily.
But the coyote's a better name.
Yeah, that was what they called her. But Lily. When she runs up on Lily and punches Lily, it is like, how could you have let her into the zone? Lily was like, she paid me to let her into the zone. That's my entire character, and like her entire character, her entire job, Lily's entire existence in this movie is, I get paid to send people in and out. Whether or not that's right or wrong is not my business. I get paid to send people in or out. To the point that this daughter, as a character, when her dad's like, who can get us in or out? The daughter's like, oh, Lily's solid. She'll just do for anyone. Like, she's just chaotic neutral, and that's fine. I don't have a moral problem with Lily. I never butt heads with Lily. People go to her, and to the point where I know her by name. I've referred people to her. She is regular and reliable as someone who will just let anyone in.
Could you click my affiliate link for Lily before you use her so I get my commission for Lily, basically?
And then to be like, I can't believe Lily would do this.
Lily, I trusted you. Absolutely not. And you did the exact things I knew you did. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal, as they say on Firefly.
And she reminded me of, to go back to the Dawn of the Dead remake. There was the moment of, I forget the character's name, the one who really likes the dog. The girl who
Lindy
loves the
Booth,
dog.
But I
Lindy
don't know.
Booth is the
actress.
But Lindy Booth's character, when she like drives across a field of zombies, crashes a truck into a building, runs in to get a dog, locks herself in a closet of a gun store while the gun store owner is scratching against the door, and she gets on the walkie-talkie, and the other survivors at the mall, and they've been surviving for like a month now, they know what zombies are. They say, stay in there, and she says, why? Is something wrong outside? It felt like that level of like, why do you have this? And that was another character who I'm like 20 to 25. Like, this is another 20 to 25-year-old character who you are portraying to have the mind of a child. Like a literal child.
But also to just completely neglect that it was Gita's choice to go in. Like, she didn't lead a child into Apocalypse Las Vegas. She let in like a 30-year-old adult woman who chose to go in.
I think I think they were trying to portray her as a 50-year-old adult woman with her like 20-something daughters, and I think granddaughters that were left behind then.
Oh, I thought those were her daughters. I thought she was
then
only
who
like
were the
30.
two girls with her?
Oh,
that went in with her.
Those were like her sisters or something.
Maybe sisters.
They didn't establish.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people in this movie, so some people couldn't get established. But she went in with two other girls, I think just so that there could be sacrifices to the zombie king.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just
but
so
Gita's got to get the fuck out of this. I'm not as hard on the daughter as you. I agree the daughter's written like a naive idiot. She's written like a 12-year-old and it being portrayed as a 25-year-old, which is a huge problem. But the Gita storyline is the biggest problem for me, that the reason the daughter is there and wanders off is because she's like, I can't believe someone would abandon their children. Who's going to take care of them? Not fucking me, I tell you that.
I'm going to go into zombie apocalypse world too.
Yeah.
And then
my dad and his team of people armed to the teeth might not come back alive, but I have a tank top that says volunteer. That's her getup. Everyone's got gas cans, helicopters, Gatling guns, the jaws of life, and she's got a tank top that dignifies. And a lanyard. She keeps her lanyard.
Don't forget about the lanyard. They're gonna recognize that she's there as a volunteer, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, rules of war mean we cannot touch this woman. She's okay." And yeah, when Lily is like, "Yeah, they take them to the Olympus. That's where they all live," and she's like, "Ooh, could Gita be there?" I'm like, if she's in Zombie Central, she's dead, and we're not going in for her. And then, of course, she fucking goes to get her. It's and then Gita dies.
Yeah.
Gita definitely didn't make it out of that helicopter.
No. And here's how the movie knows Gita is completely pointless, because Gita survives until the helicopter. They're in the helicopter. Gita makes it to the end of the movie. The helicopter crashes, and we watch Dave Bautista's character die. They show that Tig, the helicopter pilot, is now dead. And they don't even show Gita. They're just like, the movie as a narrative is just like, who the fuck cares about Gita?
No one cares about Gita.
And I'm like,
do you care about Gita?
And I agree. At this point, I'm like, I agree with you, movie. I don't care about Gita. No one cares about Gita. But you kept trying to make me, you kept not even trying, but you kept telling me that I should all movie, and I don't, and I never have.
Yeah, you implied that it was more important to save her than to risk the life of the rest of this team.
Literally.
Like, Gita's more important than me, the character going to save her.
Yeah.
And then Gita just dies off screen.
Yeah. Everyone dies because of Gita. I mean, everyone dies because of other reasons, but Gita doesn't help. Gita at least gets Batista killed.
Yeah, without Gita, that helicopter gets out of there.
Yeah, Batista and Tig survive.
Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, that's 2 more than we got now.
Yeah, 2 more, and then maybe the daughter would survive. Maybe not.
I mean, if she never went in, she would have. She has a volunteer shirt. That's going to help.
But like 9 of them, armed to the teeth, go in, and just this daughter being like, but 3 middle-aged women with no weapons or fighting experience walked in. Could they have survived? Like, all of Vegas? No. All of Vegas is gone. All of it. You watched your father stab your mother in the head because there is no saving.
If Lily left them, they're dead. If she's still with them, maybe.
Yeah.
But she left them, and they're dead.
Mess of a storyline.
Another thing to dunk on in a playful way, because I actually really like this and I don't want to cut it, but just storyline-wise, it doesn't make any sense. Why do you need a safe cracker to break into your own safe?
Why couldn't that guy just tell them the code?
Why don't you know the codes to your safe?
Right.
Why can't we just blow it up if there's no police? Like, it's not like you have to do it in secret. You don't have to secretly open up a safe. You can just be like, I have so much C4, you guys. Like, there's no reason to need a safe cracker. But also, I found that scene so fun in its ridiculousness. Putting in, like, Bugs Bunny level traps on your casino vault.
Your casino vault doesn't have 2 walls that crush a person.
But it did, and it was fucking hilarious.
Because you know what can replace 2 walls that crush a person? A single guard with a gun. Like, you didn't have walls that crush a person.
The vault was guarded in a way that the traps were put in, like, post-apocalypse. These are post-apocalypse traps. This says society has crumbled. So I put in, like, darts and guns and smushy walls that smush you because there is no police. But in a world with police and security, it's fucking crazy that you put lethal traps in your Vegas vault that did only have money in it. When it opened up, I actually expected it to be things that weren't money, like the zombie cure or like something like illegal. But your legally obtained money that you got from your legal Vegas casino was put into a vault that has 3 different lethal traps in front of it. Like, an intern could just wander down there and be like, what's the vault look like? I've never seen it. Crushed by walls.
Done.
Crushed by walls.
Dead.
And then you just add an intern and you're up for murder. So funny to me. And like, ridiculous in a really fun way, though.
A really fun way because it made for a fun conceit and premise of this movie. I think that there was the moment when it felt like Ant-Man to me, when they did the like fantasy imagining how the heist goes. Or it felt very Edgar Wright as well, like very Shaun of the Dead, which it might have been an homage to. Because this movie does contain a few homages to things. But when they're planning the heist, when they're looking at the blueprints, they're like, here's how it's going to go. And it cuts to like the fantasy of all of them in a circle shooting and Dieter being like, I don't know how to do it. Like the whole heist premise I really liked, and I liked a need for Dieter to be there, which I think is one of the other positives of this movie is Dieter and Vanderho, I believe was his name. I don't know if they ever actually said it in the movie.
Vanderho? Yeah, I feel like they call him a shortened version of
maybe
this.
Vander or Van.
I called him the guy with the saw in my head. There's too many names.
Dieter and the guy with the saw, their bromance and friendship was... And another thing I didn't know Snyder knew how to do in any way. There's never been 2 characters that I've never seen 2 characters in a Snyder movie where I've immediately been like, people are going to write fan fiction about these 2.
Absolutely, they haven't, because I've seen every Snyder movie, and I've never written fan fiction about any of them, and I've never felt the urge to read or write any of it. But I watched this, and I'm like, I want those 2 to survive together in the vault for days, and like they're just like broing out, and they're like, oh, we made it, we have all the money.
There's going to be slashback about these 2, for sure.
There absolutely is. They are delightful together. And they're delightful in their comedy and in like they're like, he's teaching him how to survive and he's slowly respecting him and they're slowly respecting each other and then they're fun together. And then they have philosophical moments, like this conversation about how things end in either death or rebirth are the only options. I'm like, this is actually crazy interesting stuff. I am compelled by this. Your friendship is lovely. I am so upset you're not both in the vaults.
Yeah.
I'm also upset we don't see how the safecracker dies.
Yeah, he makes the sacrifice play. Dieter makes the sacrifice play.
But we don't... Is he dead?
I mean, the nuke would have got him at the very least.
Unless he found a second safe to go into. I think he's probably... Like, the safe is the only reason the Saw guy lived.
And surviving in the safe is also a cute way to have Saw guy survive. And we never see him use the saw, which is also crazy disappointing.
That was another thing I wrote down along with Zombies That Get Wet. Because, like, so much stuff about the saw. It's in the montage. Mm-hmm. But then Shades grabs the saw. And he's like, oh, my saw. And then he's like, don't touch my saw. So they have lots of Saw stuff, and then he just uses a gun the whole movie.
Yeah, someone else uses a saw to cut through a wall later. I can't remember which character it was, but
that was Lily, because they were trapped in there by Garrett Dillahunt.
Right. So Lily uses it to cut through a wall or whatever. So he doesn't get to use that. It's a little anticlimactic. He uses it, I think, in the opening montage of them like getting out of the city and stuff, which is fun.
Oh, we did.
Which feels like for any of you listeners who are gamers, the Dead Rising video game. It felt like very like Rescue Survivors timed missions, which was very video gamey and fun. But yeah, the little bromance between the safecracker and Saw guy, really fun, really charming. Didn't know Snyder had it in him.
Didn't know he had it in him. Very unexpected. And then it goes in like a weird like, this was never a heist. It was about getting a zombie. And I'm like, why didn't you just hire mercenaries to get a zombie then?
I feel like they would have said yes to that.
You caught that zombie. Like, you could have literally just hired Lily.
Yeah.
And you got a zombie so fast. So why any of this stuff with the vaults and the money?
The one dude and Lily would have been enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he also just was like, maybe as a bonus, I could get that money in the back of his head. But if he really just wanted a zombie, it seems like they were super easy to get.
Yeah, they could have got it like within 3 feet of the entrance as well that Lily went into.
Because they didn't want that specific zombie. They didn't even know that one was pregnant.
Yeah.
That just happened to be the one that was pregnant.
Yeah.
So it was very silly.
Yeah,
very
really
dumb.
Very convoluted, like no
I
particular
didn't need any
reasons.
of this.
I didn't love that, but I also didn't hate it because the movie had this general unpretentious attitude of like, who gives a fuck? It's clearly this dude is an evil henchman of the corporation, and the corporation in the zombie movie is not going to be a fucking good corporation.
None of the corporations are.
Yeah.
They cause the zombiness, and we really just need
the rich dude who sips a whiskey while a nuke falls on Las Vegas in a zombie movie isn't going to be the hero. Of course not.
And they really just needed a reason for Garrett Dillahunt to turn on them.
Yeah.
Because you always need one guy. You either need a guy who's evil or a coward.
Yes, yeah.
So
someone who fucks over the other people.
Yeah. So they went with evil on this one. They didn't go with coward in this movie.
Right.
And then he got eaten by a zombie tiger. And
Which was satisfying.
Dope.
Zombie tiger and zombie horse, both incredibly cool.
So cool.
Some of the these little moments that they come up with. It looks incredible. It looked really cool. It was a fun premise. I like this whole zombie society that Snyder has come up with in this movie. I think it's a fun kind of fresh take on what's going on, and I like the kind of mystery around like the alpha zombie and like your main commanders and like people falling underneath having more mindlessness as the virus gets past.
That's actually a really cool idea, which I like as a very good explanation of why there's fast and slow ones. Because if there's like the alpha, and if he infects you, you're an alpha. But anyone you infect is a slow zombie.
Yeah.
So that's a very cool hierarchy of why there's two different kinds. It's very interesting. I like that. I think it's a little bit slow when they're dragging Shades in and stuff. Like it takes a really long time to even just drag him away. It felt like he was on the ground for like 5 minutes out in the desert. And then once we get into the Olympus, it's a little slow. But it is interesting that they're like have thought. And then you can kind of, it's a movie where you can kind of predict when there will be zombies in an interesting way. Like, they're not just, like, hiding in corners for no reason or just ambling around. You're like, oh, no shit, we killed their queen, now they're coming. It's kind of more, it is more an army.
Yeah.
The exact title. It's not just zombies. It's an army of the dead. They have purpose, they have reason, but only just slightly.
Well, which does lead me to kind of a question about them, is that the movie is called The Army of the Dead. And you're right, they are an army. They have commanders, they have leaders, they have frontline troops.
Dude on a horse.
It is, yeah, they got equestrian troopers. Like they've got
Oh, a fancy name for dude on a horse.
Oh, zombie dude on a horse.
Somebody went to Army Zombie School.
That's right.
I'm in the equestrian forces.
The thing that I didn't quite get is who the alpha zombie was. So we get this opening sequence. There's the tanker that they're transporting out of Area 51, which is Zombie Zero, we'll say. Zombie Zero gets out and converts all of the army people. So that's his army of the dead. So I assumed the lieutenants, when Lily was describing their society, to be like, there's one person at the top, and then there's their lieutenants, and they're smarter and more strategic and know how to like maneuver and work in groups. I'm like, that's because they're going to be the army people. They're the smart army people we saw at the beginning. And she was like, the people who are bit by the leader are smarter, and then the people they bite are dumber. So I'm like, okay, so the first people Patient Zero infected were a bunch of smart military guys. So they're going to be tough to fight and hunt. But we never see any of the army guys from the opening sequence. And then we never see the Zombie Zero from the opening sequence either, because the two main zombies that we get are the bride and groom. It's meant to be the bride and groom leaving Vegas.
I don't think that's true at all.
They're called the bride and groom.
Yeah, but that's not a bride and groom in Vegas. In Vegas, that's a showgirl and then some guy in a cape.
Yes, it's a showgirl, and I think the implication, though, is that it's supposed to be the two that crashed into the thing.
I didn't get that impression at all.
Really?
Anyway, those people definitely burnt up and died. Like, not in a zombie way.
That was also my thought, but it's just weird that the movie opens with the bride and groom, and then they call these other zombies the bride and groom.
Oh, I didn't catch them call them that. Not even once.
Really?
I'm so sorry. No, this guy was called Zeus, the main guy.
Yeah.
And I was calling her showgirl / the queen.
Huh.
Because they called her the queen.
Right.
I didn't hear them call her a bride.
The queen. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all.
Okay, so
The queen. Now you got me all messed up.
Yeah, right.
The queen, it was just a random person, but I was pretty sure that was the guy from the desert as the king. Because the guy, the groom in the car looked like the hacker from Burn Notice. That wasn't this jacked, muscular zombie guy.
Well, that was why it bothered me, too. Okay, this does help me a little, but I really thought that the implication was that it was those two.
Oh, I think you wrote more into this movie because I
Okay.
think the army was just his favorite people became his lieutenants. I don't know if you have some kind of telekinesis with him if he bites you.
Right.
Or if you can communicate via the screaming because they can definitely communicate.
Right. Okay.
But I agree that the guys from the army should have been like the best zombies.
Yeah. And they
should've-
would be the first round of lieutenants or whatever.
And maybe it still could even use guns or something.
So in that scenario, the main guy, the king, Zeus, I never tracked that they called him Zeus.
I think it was only in the IMDb. I know that.
Okay. He was wearing like army pants and dog tags as well. So I wonder if he was a military experiment / Patient Zero of the virus, or if he was one of the people we saw at the beginning.
Oh, he was definitely the guy from the road.
From the
I
road?
think he was like a military guy that the military experimented on and made into a zombie.
Right. Or aliens crashed and he was the
Or
first person to
aliens
touch
made
it.
him
and
into a
get- yeah,
zombie.
something went on there.
Something with aliens. Because
Yeah,
then he's got
or
like
robots.
Because then we have robots with like blue stuff in their heads.
Yeah.
And then when his head exploded, it was blue. And also his baby was blue. In like
Right.
not like a like how babies are blue naturally kind of way. Like
Right.
a like magic or like mystical
Alien
supernatural
question
blueness.
mark?
I don't know what the blueness means, but there's
Right.
some blueness.
Okay.
I also have questions about this baby.
Yes.
Do zombies fuck? Was this a woman who was pregnant and got zombified?
Right.
A la
Or
Dawn
do
of the
they
Dead,
reproduce?
Or did they reproduce? Huge questions that I have that are not answered in this movie because the sex is not integrated, as we discussed.
And also the second time that Snyder has done a zombie baby.
I told you he
it's
rehashing
old.
some stuff.
It's getting old.
Yeah, I don't need 2 zombie babies in
No.
my life.
And it did nothing for the story in any way. Like, we got the impression already that, like, yeah, he's into her and he's going to be upset at her death. We didn't need Zombie Baby.
The only thing Zombie Baby would be interesting for is if Zombie Baby lived and you have a sequel and you're like, oh shit, a zombie made of zombies. Like, this is going to be the ultimate zombie. That's the only reason to have a zombie baby. But to have a zombie baby who dies, they're like, well, no. I don't want a dead baby in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything for anyone in this story.
No, zombie or human, no dead baby, Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Stop with this trend.
Let's get rid of it. That is one thing that I find, so that almost kind of homages himself, which is a weird level of
I homage myself.
That is a weird level of homage for a zombie movie to be like, I'm doing a shout out to Zombie Baby, a thing that I did. But this movie has references and homage to other movie. Like, I think that the woman with the red headband is very much supposed to be Vasquez from the movie Aliens.
Yeah, the crew is very Aliens-like, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that this movie has weirdly, and I wish I had written some of the other ones down, but there are other moments that I'm like, oh, that's from this movie, or that's from that movie. There are clear moments that are inspired by other action movies, but the movie has actually very little inspiration from zombie movies. And I find that a bit surprising, that there's no real reference or moment or homage. Like when we did Shaun of the Dead on the podcast many moons ago, and it's like Shaun of the Dead is filled with these loving little touches towards everything George Romero has ever done and the entire history of the zombie. And I feel like there's no love or admiration towards zombies in this.
I will totally agree with that. For a man who has included every type of zombie, as I listed, fast, slow, robot, pregnant, every kind of zombie there is, Zack Snyder
Those are the big five.
Yeah, the big five. Zombie, robot, fast, slow, pregnant. The classic zombies. Wet, dry.
Yeah.
For every kind there is, I don't get the impression Snyder loves zombies. I get the impression Snyder loves action. Snyder likes a good, cool action sequence. And he doesn't really homage or like pay tribute to a lot of things. He's just like, action is cool, and if zombies are the prop of my action, they will be the prop of my action, but I don't really care about what came before them. These are my zombies, and I'm just here to shoot them in the face or have them chase my guys. Like, and they're different and they're mine, and he does like to slightly reinvent and make things his own, and he's so focused on action that I don't feel like he's focused on the heart of it. Because even as you said, in his Dawn of the Dead remake, there's no themes of the original Dawn of the Dead. It is just a zombie movie. There's no Romero-esque touches there. So he's just not big on that. And it does seem surprising when he does have like the team touches, as you say, to action movies that are happening. But I just feel like he's just like, I'm just doing my own thing. He's even in the heist. The heist has no elements of other heist movies, except the closest is Ocean's 11, but they don't do the heist in this way at all. There's no deadly traps before you get to the vault in Ocean's 11.
Right.
There's nothing like that. So he doesn't really homage heist movies either. It's really just his own thing.
Interesting. It's such a particular way to approach movies. It's so strange.
I'm okay with it. I like people just making their own stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with it, but it felt like there should have been a little loving touch in there. But I'm fine with it as it is.
A little like for the zombie heads out there. Here, this one's for you.
Yeah.
Since you mentioned the Latino girl in the headband, I'm so sorry. Your name's so far down the IMDb list.
In my head, I've been calling her Vasquez because that's the name of the character from Aliens
totally
that she's
fair.
clearly meant to represent.
She's Vasquez now.
Yeah.
Apologies. Her fight scene was incredible.
Really,
she had
really
the
cool.
best fight scene in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Which was very weirdly set up because her and the safecracker were the only ones who had never killed a zombie. And then they gave her the most incredible fight scene in a zombie movie I've ever seen, possibly. It was long, but it made sense, and I believed she was surviving this long, and she was being a total badass.
Just slaughtering them and being quiet the whole time, or for the beginning of it anyway, before things really hit the fan.
Yeah, the opening part, because if you haven't seen it, the zombies are hibernating, they're asleep, I guess, which makes sense. You can't just go out all day.
I also thought it was a cool premise to give the zombies.
I think it makes sense that they'd have to take a nap every now and then. So she like hits one and it starts to wake up. So she has to keep stabbing them before they make enough sound to wake the rest of them up. And she has to stab like 5 of these guys, and it's so cool. And she does does such a good job. And then like she gets locked in a room and she manages to break out through a window and she's still fucking killing the hell out of these zombies and she hasn't been bit and she's fully not injured. And then she's like 5 feet away from her friend and he's like, she's dead, we gotta go. Like her friend who genuinely wants to save her. And she's like, right there, and he has a gun in his hand.
And her friend is like the best zombie killer in the world. And it's the betrayer, it's Dillahunt, who's like, she's dead, leave her behind. But we as an audience can see that there is nothing in between her best friend, the ultimate zombie killer, and her. There's maybe one zombie. Like, it is super easy to get to her.
They did an establishing shot, and the zombies are all behind her. And
Yeah.
she's not holding them back in a sacrifice play. She's like, help me get away. And then he just blows her up.
Which is better than being eaten alive. I'll defend the blowing her up once she gets bit. I defend the blowing her up.
Absolutely. Please blow me up. I don't want to be a zombie. Don't like it.
Because he doesn't do it until she is bit.
But he doesn't help her, and she could have not been bit so easily. It's very poorly laid out as a scene. That I think will be my one complaint about Zack's like directing on this one. Like they really needed to establish that she was further away, unhelpable. Because Garrett Dillahunt, obviously leaving her there makes sense. But her best friend who genuinely wants to help her wouldn't have just stood there when he's shot zombies before. He wasn't shell-shocked. He wasn't
He could have handled it very easily.
Yeah, he was pretty calm the rest of the movie about killing zombies.
They wanted a clear line of sight from him to her so that the camera could show to be like, look how sad he is, look over at her. But a clear line of sight meant that there was no obstacles, so that kind of fucked it up. But that is just one where it's like, you didn't come up with a clever solution for how it was written versus how you needed to film this. And that's it's just a bit of a shame there because I agree with you. That was an incredible fight sequence. I thought that was awesome. I also think that just like everything in the casino was a series of terrific fight sequences. Like once they wake them all up, just like going through room by room, and Batista, once they have the money, like running through the casino as well. I think everything in the casino was really, really well done. I also like Zeus having a metal helmet. That was a fun touch as well.
Oh man, if zombies have metal helmets, we're fucked.
Yeah, I mean they did that one season on The Walking Dead. I don't know if you remember that. That was a Negan thing.
I don't really remember that.
He was dipping their heads in metal. It was less of a helmet and more of a horrible metal head. He was giving them just like Wolverine heads.
Because then I think he was like tying them to the fence though to protect his property.
So it was a whole thing. But yeah, it's horrifying. It's haunting. It's a fun premise. It's a fun concept. I also really liked this moment between Cruz, the love interest character, and Batista's character Scott in the hallway next to the vault, and this unspoken romance that they've had the whole movie that has been clearly a thing for this amount of time of their lives. But it was a subtext that I had actually felt the whole movie. Once we got past that opening credit cloudiness of like, who is this man's wife? I don't understand what's happening.
Who are these 3 females? We can't get a feel on this.
That are all pretty much the same, and we've never said out loud which one is his wife. Other than that opening cloudiness, once we get like the flashback of him actually killing his wife, then after he recruits her, I'm like, oh, I feel tension here. Oh, you two used to fuck, didn't you? Like there was such a palpable tension and like legitimate electricity between these two actors where I'm like at any minute they could run away together. And it hit me hard when they had this conversation in the hallway.
That's so great for you.
You couldn't see it at all?
I didn't see it coming at all.
Oh, wow.
I was going into this movie and I'm like, I love how platonic this movie is. Everyone on this team, just platonic, left to right. When she said that to him, I mentally went, what? When? I felt none of this. What's wrong with me?
Whereas for me, when he picks her up, when he first sees her into the garage and she's like, hey, and she goes in, immediately in my head, I was like, how long have you two been fucking behind everyone's back? Like that was immediately, I'm like, you two.
They went to war together. I think people just bond.
But I get the impression.
I assume nothing.
I get the impression they never actually did hook up, but there was a tension that they never acted on just because of the severe trauma and PTSD they were all going through. But yeah, no, I felt it. I liked that it was subtext and that it was said without being said until that moment. And then the shock value murder landed for me, and it was weird to have a death that wasn't a bite as well. That kind of made that stand out and add additional elements of horror to it.
Oh, I am just realizing now that Zeus doesn't bite any one of the people who killed his wife. He doesn't want to turn you guys. Yeah, he just wants to kill you. That's very interesting. Because he doesn't bite any of them. He doesn't. Oh, he does bite Batista, but that's kind of like a desperation move.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's about to die. But yeah, just breaking her neck and not turning her. That is interesting. But yeah, I will agree with you in theory. I know it is my fault I don't notice chemistry in movies. We've been over this many times. I won't say this is probably very well done. I was a little mad that she died so quickly and abruptly until everyone else then died, because at first I was just like, oh, of course, the female love interest dies. Then I'm like, never mind, everyone else died too.
Literally everybody dies.
I can't be. I'm an equal opportunity diest in a zombie movie.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair that she died that way and that soon.
Yeah, it is just a woman and a black man who survive. Well, I guess he doesn't survive.
He doesn't survive. It really is just the daughter, but that's just a numbers game.
Yeah, that is just a numbers game.
And that's my actual last complaint about the movie. That guy should have got to live. That's bullshit. I don't like that this is the second time Snyder's done a zombie movie where, what if you think they all live and then they just die right in the end credits? Oopsie daisy, more zombies. And I'm like, I know you're kind of setting up like a sequel because you have a franchise here.
Yeah.
And the zombie virus has to get out, but like, let this man have his money. Like, find another way. I was so happy for him. I was like, yay, he made it. Just like, don't pull the rug out from under me like that. That's too much sadness.
I'm with you on that, especially when he was so charming and fun, and Dieter did the sacrifice play, and like it was one of the few truly charismatic characters that Snyder has had.
Yeah.
That you really wanted it to keep going.
You really did. And then if you are setting up a sequel, he could have been in it. He could have been the guy who's like, I survived the nuking of Las Vegas.
Right.
I am the most masterful zombie man on the planet that's left.
Yeah. Get me my chainsaw, which I do use.
I swear I've used it.
Yeah.
And I will again, or you're probably going to have to buy a new one. I don't know where that other one ended up. So yeah, that's my last big complaint of the movie. I think he should have got to just go into the sunset with his money, and maybe another zombie just wanders out after him or Zeus lives or something, and he's like, I'm still here, I'm Zeus.
He would be, yeah. I mean, Van would be messed up from radiation. I don't feel like they don't. I feel like the nuke goes off, and then he just, like, Saw Guy just crawls out of the safe, the casino safe, and is like, now to walk a long time in the desert with my money. Like, dude, it is so hot. Like, the ground would be lava. Like, things have got to be hot and irradiated.
I don't know anything about nuclear weapons. I will only say they said it was a low-yield nuclear weapon.
There's still a touch. I don't know a lot about nuclear weapons either, but you can't just say it's a low yield. And I'm like, yeah, tight. Let's go for a walk.
He was in the dead center of the city.
Yeah.
And I don't know. He couldn't have stayed in the vault long because the bite didn't kill him. So he got out of that vault like minutes after the bomb went off.
That's another bullshit thing.
It should have killed him within minutes. It killed Batista in 30 seconds.
How did he survive like days longer than Batista? That's stupid.
That's super dumb. I was also, which is another reason it was upsetting. You're like, oh, he's definitely going to live. It's been days.
Yeah.
Or at least hours. Like, he didn't get out of that vault quick. He waited.
Yeah. The last little thing that I want to bring up, this whole movie reminded me of, and I think it's something they were supposed to make a movie series or a TV show about at some point. I don't know if it's still in production or if it got scrapped or if it's just in production hell. But there was a book series I read years ago called The 12, which is a phenomenal book series, or at least it wasn't when I read it. I hope it holds up to some degree. But it was a book series. It was a vampire story.
Okay.
But they kind of had a similar society to the zombies in this one. It was some kind of like a vampire zombie in between, where it was like there are 12 main vampires. And all of the ones that they bite, like, create a tribe that are, like, telekinetically linked. But the further they get away from the main one, the, like, weaker and dumber that they get. So there was, like, a lot of this gave me the 12 vibes, which is something that I only have a hazy memory about.
Okay, I got I Am Legend vibes from the zombies having a society and, like, kind of living on their own.
I can see that too.
So I was very I Am Legend about it. But I get what you're saying about tribes and such.
The Passage trilogy is the book series. 12 is one of the books, but that's why I bring it up, because there's like the 12 higher ups. But
maybe Snyder read them.
Slight spoilers.
Slight spoilers.
Yeah, maybe Snyder read them. But I had a lot of fun with this movie.
I had like enough fun, like way more fun than I expected. I was ready to be like, okay, Diana, it's 2.5 hours. It's probably going to be like, I didn't expect so much daylight. I didn't expect so much color, so much fun, so much comedy. I actually think there could have been a little bit more action. The action kind of like slumps every now and then. There's like stuff happening, but it's not action, like zombie killing action.
I didn't expect charming characters.
Didn't expect charming characters. Yeah, I'm here for you, bromance boys. I love a good bromance. I wish you'd both lived. You're together in the bunker in my mind. Yeah, so surprisingly likable. I wish it was like slightly edited, and then but I'm proud of you, Snyder.
He did good.
You're growing every time. This degree is paying for itself in Snyderology.
Oh, Snyderology degree. All right, well, I think I'm feeling good. You ready to go in for the close?
Let's close it out.
Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we discussed, what would you change about this movie? But before we do ask the final question, we want to remind all of you, as we do every week, please hang in, listen to this for a second. Don't hit that forward button unless you've already done this stuff. But rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Hit follow, hit subscribe, whatever the word they use is. Rate and review. I know every podcast tells you to do this. There is a reason. It helps us move up the charts. It helps get us shown to more people. And it makes it more likely that new listeners will actually hit that button as well and listen to us.
Yeah, so it really helps us out. Makes our hearts feel good. You'll feel good. You'll feel good.
You'll feel good about it.
You'll feel good. You're going to leave a 5-star review and be like, Andrew and Diana are going to love this. And we will. Put that 5-star review in, hit subscribe. It helps us out so much.
Yeah, and or you can also tweet, social media, whatever, share the show on whatever social media you use. That helps us out and find a new audience as well. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can check us out over on Patreon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. At patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And when you go there, you can kick in whatever it is that you can afford. We appreciate any of you at any donation level. You can hit $1 a month, $5, $10, whatever you can afford. You can subscribe at a yearly level if that's better for you. When you do yearly, you get a month free. Whether you do monthly or yearly, after your month or after your year, you can change your subscription level. You can change how much. You can cancel completely. You're not locked in. So check it out, because you're going to get cool bonuses at every single level. Like at the hero level, you get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month. And this month we did the Legend of the Guardians, the Owls of Ga'Hoole, the animated Zack Snyder film.
The final Zack Snyder movie we had not covered on this podcast. It is animated. It's about owls. It's by Zack Snyder. It's a very, very fun episode. You can get that immediately. You also get access to all the old episodes. There's so many episodes of Talk from Superheroes. They're full-length episodes, ad-free, about a topic we do not discuss on the regular podcast. So if you like this show, you're going to friggin' love that show too.
Absolutely. So head on over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Once again, that's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes, and check it out. And now for the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
This change is we've slightly talked about it already, but I'm going to collapse some characters together. Obviously, no Gita. I'm going to turn Lily into the daughter. So, So Dave Bautista needs to get into the city. He's like, I know how I'm going to get in there. My daughter lets people in the quarantine zone. So she goes in with them because she survived Las Vegas. She's the one who brings people in. So she brings them in. So they have to kind of rekindle their relationship that way. While she leads them in, he has to accept that she's very tough now and helps people that way. But she is also still working with Garrett Dillahunt the way that Lily was, and she steals the head, which is a good thing to do, but it means that she gets kidnapped by Zeus. Dave Bautista has to go rescue her, but she's still badass and tough about it. She just stole the head, and then Zeus was like, you have my wife's head, and takes her and is mad about it. And then that's why Tig and Batista go and save her. And the dude with the saw lives at the end, obviously. And he gets to keep his money. Yeah, that's my big change. I'm going to collapse some characters down, get rid of Gita, but make Lily the daughter. And that's how they rekindle, and then she gets to be cooler and have more of a purpose.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. I was pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, I love that. That is a really, really cool change. That makes so much sense. The daughter, Lily should be the daughter. The daughter should be Lily.
Thank you.
That's the same character. It is, yeah.
All the information that the daughter has, she gets from Lily.
It is the anti-authority, the anti-authority, fuck you, I do what I want person who lives in the quarantine zone.
Yeah, screw you, Dad, but I will take the skills you taught me in Zombie Apocalypse Las Vegas.
Yeah. That's the same character.
You only need one.
Oh my God.
So she works with Garrett Dillahunt as like a fuck you to her dad, but then regrets it when she realizes it's like bad. Yeah, that's my change.
That is dope.
Thank you. Andrew, what would you change?
Fuck, I like that. I think you can have the bleak ending without a bleak ending.
Ooh, hit me.
I think that that Van, when he gets out of the safe, so he survives by being in the safe, and then like later he's on a private plane and collapses and reveals that he's been bit, and he hasn't turned or whatever. He hasn't been bit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say he has not been bit.
Radiation.
And he survives. I'll let the radiation thing slide. But he leaves unknowingly with the head.
Oh.
Because during this heist, the evil corporate guy is trying to steal the head of the zombie because he's like, we're going to manufacture this as a weapon. It's going to be incredible. Like so much money, corporate money. And then Lily, which if it was the daughter's character would be her redemption moment to combine it with yours, replaces the head bag. But if the real head bag was in the safe, so he's dragging all this money and the head bag, and this guy, and in the movie as it is, does not know that Tanaka, the company, has betrayed them. He actually had no idea about any of that plot that went on above ground.
Oh, yeah, because he just got shoved in the safe.
He got shoved in a safe and later a nuke went off. Like, that's all this guy knows. So he would return to the CEO dude to, like, dial out the money, get his cut, and unintentionally give this dude the zombie weapon, which would be the head. So then the movie can end with the, like, we're going to have sequels, the nightmare's not over, but it's because an evil CEO has the head of the queen. And then the one true survivor, Van, could go off into the night, but then come back in sequels or future stories if you want. He survives because of his bromance with his friend. He walks off rich and not a zombie, but the zombie threat still exists.
I love this. This seems very like Terminator when they just keep the Terminator's hand, but like Sarah Connor gets to live.
Right.
It feels very much like that. You can set up a sequel, but you can have your great character still just lives a happy life and it's like, excellent. All that hard work paid off. I didn't deserve to die.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That's a wonderful change. Yes, you can still have a zombie and not have be so bleak.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I love yours.
I love yours.
Yeah. Lily should be the...
should be the daughter.
Should be the daughter.
No Gita. Gita.
Gita and no Gita. Yeah, not all of those scenes.
Obviously.
All of those scenes can literally be deleted.
Oh, yes,
Like they have
100%.
nothing to do with anything. But they also have so little story, it would only save like 5 minutes off the movie, I think, if you deleted the Gita scenes.
I can get rid of that.
Yeah.
Cool with that.
It doesn't save enough, but it saves some.
Same stuff.
All right, well, that's Army of the Dead. I like our changes. I'm feeling good. Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling excellent.
Excellent. Well, that is going to be it for this week. It has been a fun ride of more and more Snyder. The Snyder never ends. We're going to be back next week, and next week we are going to be talking about MODOK.
Hey, Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt's going to be here.
We're very excited. This is a little bit weird because this show dropped entirely on Hulu, but it's weekly on Disney Plus. So
We're not sure how many episodes we're going to do is what we're saying.
We'll
we're
see
going to
what
cover.
happens.
We're going to be talking about MODOK next week.
just in case you're weirded out if you open up your Disney Plus and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they're playing jazz with the release of this one.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to be talking about MODOK next week. In the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can reach me on Twitter at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can reach me at Words of Diana.
And reach both of us at From Superheroes. And we'll see y'all next week.
Bye.